everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wellness Blueprints. I'm Jess Milner, and I'm so glad you're here to nourish your roots with me. Today, I want to talk a little bit about sunscreen. I've been seeing a lot of posts on social media with people asking questions about it because we're getting into this beautiful time of year again where we're outside in the sunshine. Hopefully, you've been getting some amazing weather. I know even I was out in the sunshine over the last couple of days. We met some friends at the park the other day. My boys had soccer games, then we went to another soccer game, so sitting out for a while. And I'll tell you, I was born and raised in New Jersey, and like yes, it gets super hot there in the summer. It gets hot and humid, and we've got the beach there, and my mom had a pool or still has a pool. So, we were outside a lot then. And one thing that I did notice moving out here to the mountains is that, we are at a higher sea level. So, being outside in this gorgeous sunshine has a tendency to, absorb into you a little bit more quickly. And you might feel the results of the sun a little bit faster. So, the first couple times that you're out in that, you might be like, wow, I was only sitting out by the pool for an hour and a half. How come I got so burned? I'm not used to having that kind of an issue. I know one of my girlfriends, she usually doesn't use sunscreen at all because she's very olive tone skin. And last year or the year before, she went down like to Miami or something like that to visit some friends and family, was sitting out by the pool. And because the sun was just so much hotter than she was used to, she had a burn as well. So, so I want to talk about what some of our options are and what some of the things we can do to decrease our risk of burning in the sun because you don't want your skin to burn in the sun because it is causing some damage. So that's not what we want it to do. But the sun is something that should not be feared. It is something that is absolutely essential to life. It is essential to our circadian rhythm. It's helping to ground us. We need to be out there. Plants need water, sunlight. Hey, we need those things too. Okay. So it's not something that we want to block out. I know there's like stuff going around about like, let's try to dim out the sun for, climate change and all this bullshit. Listen, nothing good can come from that sort of thing, but that's like a whole nother episode, right? Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about because, there's a lot of, mainstream uh, sunscreen out there. And I know like when my kids were little, I had to really like kind of like coach my mother-in-law on this a little bit. Like, okay, you tried, but there's still these ingredients. Please just use ours. So what you want to look for is something that does not have the following ingredients. Okay. So some of the common ones that we see in sunscreens in those mainstream ones is going to be oxybenzone, avobenzone, homosalate. I may not even be saying that correct. Salate, octocrylene, and octinoxate or octino. Octinoxate, octinoxate. There we go. So there's lots of different stuff that are in these in these sunscreens, in these creams that are really not doing us any good. So, people started having issues with skin troubles, with skin cancers. And these things are real. These things actually started to happen. But I want you to understand that it's not so much, it's not that you need to block out the sun. It's not that the sun did something bad to you. The sun's not up there going, I'm going to, make you ouchy and blah, 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 blah. Now, it's more a imbalance in our food. So in the last 150 years, we kind of switched over to a lot of synthetic ingredients. We switched over to more processed foods. A lot of these things were done out of necessity. We had the Great Depression. We had to feed our armies. It was very difficult. How are we going to get food over there? We need things that are not going to perish. So we started with the canned goods and this stuff like that. And canned food is dead food, and then we're adding in preservatives so that things are not going bad. And then what else did we start doing? Well, for a multitude of reasons, people started to become very, very scared of, naturally occurring saturated fats, animal fats, and things like that. You've probably heard me talk about it 1,000 times because this is actually something that I wrote my master's thesis on for my master's in nutrition is that, it's not those fats that were bad, that were causing the issues that were going on. But what happened was they replaced those things with seed oils. They replaced them and said, well, we need to have these. We need to have this linoleic acid instead. for these fatty acids, and they thought that was going to be more heart healthy, which that's a different thing. And we've talked about that before. That's actually not the case. Those seed oils aren't going to do that for you. But the other thing the seed oils do, which I've talked about before, is they are going to make that omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acid ratio be off. And we want more threes than we want sixes because otherwise we're going to have inflammation, oxidation going on in the body. And that's what's going on, when these things are happening, but when the sun is touching them. So we create vitamin D mostly by converting it through our skin from the sun. Okay. So you need essential fatty acids for that. Um you need calcium for that. There are all of these components that are needed there. When we are eating a multitude of these omega-6 fatty acids like that, when they are, in those forms and everything, and when we're not eating like real whole foods all the time, this is getting off balance and we're just not able to convert as well. So, for some people, it can be as simple as just stop eating seed oils and you probably won't burn anymore. This can be true for a lot of people. But then there's other people who are your heritage, your genetic background, is from an area that's very high up north, and you have very pale skin, and the reason for that is, I mean, we have people that have evolved to have much darker skin depending on what area of the world that you are living in. And that's just because, if you're living in an area of the world where the sun is bright and hot all the time, you don't need to absorb it at such a fast rate, right, to get what you need out of it. We need these nutrients that are coming from the sunlight, but we don't need them at that high of a rate when we are in those areas that have like lots and lots of sun, like around the equator and everything. Okay, so you find people that have darker skin in those areas. Because over, the hundreds of thousands of years of people existing, this naturally is occurring just because, like they don't need all that. And then you have the super paley pales, which is where a lot of my family hails from. That, like, so we're talking like Ireland or, Scandinavian countries, Eastern European. And now it's not like, I mean, I tan quite nicely, but I can also burn like a son of a bitch. So, when you are living in areas where you don't get as much sunlight year round, that is close enough to you to even absorb and turn it into vitamin D. I know now here in Idaho, there are, most of the winter, even if we get a bright sunny day, it's not close enough to really do anything. Even when we go outside and let it touch our face, it's going to feel nice, but it's probably not going to be absorbing and converting into vitamin D. It's not going to be doing all of the things that it's supposed to be doing because it's just not close enough. So we naturally have lighter skin so that when we do have the sunshine, it doesn't take as much effort from the body to suck that in and do what we need to do. So if you are one of those people that are going to have, that it just, you walk outside and suddenly you're bright pink, then you're going to want an option that's not going to cause issues inside of your body. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this, all right? Because we've got like the oxybenzone and the octinoxate. Those, I mean, they're like endocrine disruptors. I'm sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought there. So they're going to disrupt your hormones. Okay. So they absorb right into your skin. They go right into your bloodstream. So they can cause all kinds of issues with that. Okay. It can also cause like some pretty like serious skin allergies right off the bat. It's been known to cause like, like rashes and things like that. So that's not fun. But of course, if you notice something like that right away, you're going to discontinue use of a product. So if that's happened to you, then you probably already know, like, I don't use that crap because like it made my skin break out. And that can happen with something natural too. It's all just dependent. Okay. So you have these things that are really just getting in and disrupting the endocrine system, which means that, you're not able to send the messages here, there, and everywhere. We've got all kinds of things going on where like women's hormones are not working properly, because really, going through menopause and perimenopause thing shouldn't be as much of a debacle as it is. But because of everything that we're exposed to on a daily basis and all this shenanigans going on and everything, and then there's other crap in the sky floating around and everything that like makes it even more intense as it hits us. So in terms of the sunlight, but there's so much stuff going on that's messing with our hormones on the inside. So our bodies are not operating properly. They're not functioning optimally. They're just not anymore, right? So you have some of these other things here. Listen, not only can they cause allergies and they disrupt your hormones, they get right into your bloodstream and cause all kinds of issues and stuff. But some of them, now they do need more study on this, but some of these chemicals that are in the skin, because they absorb right in, some of these chemicals, when they come in contact with the sunlight, which is you put them on so that you can go out in the sun. So obviously they're going to come in contact with the sunlight. They become carcinogenic, which means they have the potential to cause cancer. So that would mean that putting the act of putting these things on our bodies is the culprit. And it's not actually blocking anything, it's actually increasing your risk. So, what can you do? So, you want to look for something that has like zinc oxide, titanium oxide. You want something that has a mineral. It's a mineral based sunscreen instead. There are tons of them out there. Okay. So, we typically use uh, doTERRA. They even have one that like sprays now, and I do technically represent like doTERRA. I really don't sell essential oils and stuff very much. I pretty much just use them for personal use, use some of their cleaning products and stuff like that. I like a lot of their stuff, and their sunscreens being one of them. They have a little like stick and everything, so that's easy to travel with and just do to wipe it on, so you don't have to spray on the face or something like that. But the spray is nice if you want to like reapply with the kids or something like that. It's not super thick and gross. And the thing is, because those mineral sunscreens, they sit on top of the skin. If you remember, like, if you watch anything from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, like out on the beaches and stuff, you would see somebody, they'd be sitting there and they would just have like the white all over their nose. And that was because it used to be these mineral based ones, and and it would stay there. So you don't have to leave it on there all white and everything and look silly. I mean, you can cake it on there if you want to, but these things do that, they will kind of go, but it does sit like it stays on the top of your skin rather than being absorbed directly into the bloodstream. So it's actually creating a natural barrier so that not as much of it is getting through there. So typically what I'll do, and like, I mean, if we're just going out to the park or something, I'm not going to make anybody put on sunscreen unless they like recently had burned or something like that, because you don't want to make it worse. But my husband never uses it and he works outside all the time. And he worked outside in New Jersey too. But yeah, so I mean, I guess like if it gets like really, really bad, he might use something, but typically no, they're not doing anything like that. But as far as the kids and me, if we're just going to the park for a little bit, the kids are going outside to play. No, I am not going to be putting sunscreen on them for that. It's just not necessary. It's like a waste of sunscreen, and it gets all the, no, not going to do it. If we're going to be out on the water in any way, like if we're going out on the lake, if we are at a beach somewhere, if we're going to be outside all the live long day and we're not properly covered. So like if I knew like if like I'm just trying to think of like so let's say there was like a party, a 4th of July celebration or something like that at somebody's house or out in somebody's backyard and whatever. Not a whole lot of shade out there and every day, and you're going to be out there, and you're going to be sitting out there like all day in the sunshine. I would probably put some on. Now I would wait until I've been out there for 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe. Depends on you and what your comfort level is there, but give it a few minutes. Give it a little while so that your skin can absorb and do what it needs to do, and then go ahead and put the stuff on so that you're not going to end up with a burn. Maybe you probably still end up with a nice tan. Once you get a base tan on there, then it's a little bit easier to not like get, super burned. So like if I was like out on a cruise or something like that, or, like those kinds of things, then definitely, especially when you're out on water, because it will reflect off of the water. Has anybody seen Fools Rush In? Where the parents are like, oh, we'll just stay in the shade because they're out on the water for like a Cinco de Mayo celebration, and they were warned that that was not a good choice, and then they were like lobsters. So you do want to play it smart and play it safe with those kinds of things, but there are options out there. So I use a lot of doTERRA. I want to tell you, there was another one, Poofy Organics. They have some amazing sunscreen. They have a lot of amazing products. I actually use like their BB creams. I use a lot of their stuff. We use their soaps and everything like that. I do not represent that company, but I can definitely give you some links for my friends if anybody's interested in ordering, because I do have a couple gals that sell Poofy, and they are amazing. So that is a great one as well. Please let me know, share some other good options for sunscreen. If you're if you want to share them in the comments, in a review, if you just want to, like just drop me a message and just like share some more because I know that there are a lot of really great ones out there that can be used instead of these other ones. Oh, I didn't mention I think it's the oxybenzone and the octinoxate. Those both, if you are in the ocean, those ingredients have been known to be detrimental to the coral reefs. So not only is it not going to be good for your body, but it getting into the ocean water is actually having a negative impact on the natural, ocean biology, everything that's going on in the ocean. It is screwing with that environment as well. So that's not cool either. So it's, really not environmentally sound in addition to all of those other things. So we definitely don't want to slather something onto ourselves that's going to have the potential to become carcinogenic when we go out in the sun, which is literally why we put it on. We don't want to have any allergies to anything. We don't want things going directly into our bloodstream that should not be there. And we definitely don't want anything that's going to disrupt our endocrine system. We have enough crap that is disrupting our endocrine systems. So this is one of those ways. This is one of those things that you can do that's rather simple little switch. I'm here to tell you that they work. I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube or, you can see that I am a rather generally pale girl. I mean, I tan, but generally, like my sister is a ginger. I have a daughter who's a ginger. My kids are all like, blue-eyed, blondish brown hair, whatever, and they are, they can tan. Even my ginger daughter, my gosh, she can tan something fierce, but we do have lighter skin. So I'm here to tell you that, because I've seen it, we can burn, but I'm here to tell you that these natural options do freaking work really well. So it's an easy swap. It's going to work quite well. And I just also I got to reiterate, the sun is not your enemy. We need the sunlight. Okay. You're basically a house plant with feelings. Okay. So you need to touch the dirt, you need water, and you need sunshine. Okay. So we don't want to like hide from it all the time. Another quick little tip. I actually, aside from when I'm out, like on the water where it is reflecting, okay, because we did discuss that, I don't wear sunglasses. I haven't worn sunglasses since 2022, and the reason for that is because when you were outside in the sunshine, your eyes, knowing that you're out in the sun, are sending signals to your brain, letting it know, "Hey, we're out in the sun. We need to, behave like we're out in the sun." And then your brain tells your body to do all of the things, absorb the sunlight properly and everything. So when you cover up your eyes like that, that signal's not getting sent in there, and then your body is like confused and doesn't know what's going on, and you can end up getting burnt as well. So that is also very helpful. I'm not telling you to go out there and just be blinded by the light. Okay, wear a hat. Right. I don't have sunglasses on at my kids' soccer games and stuff. I put on a hat and there you go. So hey man, we need to bring hats back anyway, because that's classy, right? I'm liking it. I'm digging it. I'm digging the hats. So yes, definitely put on a hat instead. But like I said, if you're out on the water, if you're like out like on like a wakeboard, or like you're out on like some kind of ferry cruise and it's super sunny, yeah, you put on some sunglasses. Probably even the polarized ones, so that you're not getting like that full reflection and everything, because you don't want to damage your eyes. Okay, let me just take a mirror and put it into the sun. No, no. Don't be doing that. So when you're out in a big reflection like that, or like if you're skiing and it's a bright and sunny day, it's gonna like reflect off of that snow, right? So put on sunglasses for something like that. But when you're just out and about and everything, try it out. I don't even wear them when I'm driving anymore. Like that, like for real. So there was another little juicy tidbit there, another little pearl to offer you guys today. So I hope that you are enjoying some wonderful weather, and I hope that this was helpful for you. Please let me know. Please leave me a fantastic review. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being here and listening. And I will be back next week. Next week will be my 52nd episode, which means I will have been at this for an entire year, which is very exciting for me. So I am very, very thankful to everyone out there who is listening and sharing this with their friends and family. I always just want to make sure that you are getting all of the knowledge that you can, so that you can go out there and be the best health advocate for yourself. And this is true for both a spiritual and a physical side, because that's what I'm here for. All right. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by. Bye for now.